Now your hosts, Trevor Mader, Ryan Elliott, Jacob Blair, and Kramer Sansone with the Weekend Sports Kickoff on X106 and KNWT Channel 8. How is everybody doing today? Welcome in to the Weekend Sports Kickoff as we are getting things ready for the next 3 hours or so. I am joined today by Jacob Blair, Kramer Sansone, and for the first part of the show, the sports editor from the Northwest Missouri. We all knew that was going to happen, guys. Justin Quick, and just how's everybody doing today?
Busy.
Yeah, it's
a lot of sports, not only nationally but around the Maryville area this weekend. Yeah,
a lot of action here throughout, like you said, all of Maryville. A family weekend, so it's a big weekend here. Volleyball has their home openers this week as well, and let's just jump right into it. Justin, I know you've been kind of hard at it getting things ready for this weekend, and family weekend, always a really big weekend here in Maryville.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me back on. I appreciate you not locking me out when I came in. But, yeah, like you said, family weekend's always a big weekend, not only for the football team but for the entire, campus as a whole with all the events going on outside of the, the sporting world. But for the sports, I mean, it's just a huge opportunity to see that Bearcat, family vibe that you have really put forward throughout the community.
And something that is mentioned a lot when you mention Northwest Missouri State athletics, whether it be football or basketball, is family. That was something that Coach Tjeerdsma always talked about and then passed it on to Scott Boswick, and then we saw it go through Adam Doro and now with Rich Red as well. So just a really cool atmosphere this weekend. Just about everybody's family comes into town, whether they're an athlete or not. You go to the game, you hang out, you have a great time, and hopefully the Bearcats can put on a good showing with Missouri Western in town this weekend.
Well, I mean, it's Southern, but yeah.
Or Missouri Southern, yeah, I'm on West. What am I thinking? Holy cow.
I mean, that was week one, but we're on week 3.
I was kind of there for week 1, so. But with Missouri Southern, yeah. So it'll be really interesting. A lot of things going on Saturday. You will have Coach Tjeerdsma, I believe he's going to be honored at halftime, if I'm correct.
Yep.
He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, or he will be inducted in, and they're going to do a salute to him at halftime. And that's going to be something I'm kind of looking forward to because growing up just 50 minutes from Maryville, I kind of always kept a close track on the program and watching Coach Tjeerdsma and some of those teams. So a great way to honor a great person that's done just about as much good for this university and definitely the athletic department as anybody else could.
Yeah, he's actually going to be receiving his plaque for that induction that you mentioned at halftime, along with the salute that they're going to be doing to him. But anyone who's paid any attention to, Division II athletics knows just the impact that Tjeerdsma has had, not only here at Northwest, but throughout the entire division as a whole and throughout the entire organization of the NCAA. He's had such an impact here at Northwest in particular, bringing in that family aspect of it and really preaching what he put as the Bearcat way and being more of a leader on the field and off the field, and also just being always there throughout the community.
Well, and not just winning, but winning the right way.
Yeah.
And you think back to his first year at Northwest, they went 0-11. Mm-hmm. It was probably hard to foresee winning 4 national championships or 3 national championships in his tenure, but they're able to do it, and then he kind of laid the ground for someone like Adam Doro to come in and hit the ground running successfully. And Rich Wright's been able to do the same thing, and they've learned under him, and they've been able to instill that Bearcat way. So a great way of honoring him this weekend. Also going to be a great weekend honoring the late coach Scott Boswick, a longtime assistant who was tragically taken from us before he could become the head coach at Northwest Missouri State. And it sounds like the athletic department, they have a lot of really cool things lined up for this weekend.
Yeah, Coach Wright talked at the media luncheon Tuesday about they've been having people from the community come in at each practice and talking to the guys after practice about just what he meant to this organization and what he meant to the community overall. And also they've got, if you pay attention to the Bearcat equipment Twitter, they've posted a couple things. They've got on the back of the helmets, they're going to be having the Scott Boswick signature on there. And they're also going to be having, they've got a sign they posted up in the locker room with one of his quotes on it. And just stuff like that, little things, but mean big things to this football team and to the community as a whole.
Going to see a lot of red at Bearcat Stadium tomorrow, more than you'll see any other time this year. Of course, Rich Red will be donning his signature red hat, too, in memory of Scott Boswick. I was reading up on that a little bit, kind of a neat story on how that started with Boswick's tradition of a red hat. He had a player who I believe actually was his nephew, had trouble spotting him on the sideline, So we decided, well, I'll just start wearing a red hat, and it'll be easier for him to get the signal. So great way to honor a great person and a great coach this weekend. And what better weekend to do it than Family Weekend, someone that really heavily emphasized and praised the importance of family. And it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Bearcat Stadium's going to be crazy. And I think this is a game that Northwest has an opportunity to really kind of make a statement.
Yeah, they definitely do. And just one more thing on that. They released the video with the look for this week, the uniforms they'll be wearing, and that signature black that they wear every year. It was actually, Coach Wright talked about this, that was actually a gift from Scott Bostwick. That was going to be his gift for his first year to the team, and that's why they kind of wear it every single year for that Family Day weekend. That's just another way they have to honor him. But yeah, they have a really good shot to make a statement here this week with Missouri Southern coming into town struggling. They have an opportunity to kind of put the foot down early and not let them get any momentum early on in the game. Southern's been kind of struggling through the air, which Northwest has kind of been giving up some big plays through the air the first couple of weeks. So it might be an opportunity for them to work on something there and get that kind of fixed up before they head into the meat of their schedule.
That game can be heard on X106 tomorrow, a 1:30 kickoff. Myself, Ryan Elliott, and Kramer Sansone will be on the call. You can tune in to the pregame show on X106 and also on KNWT Channel 8. It's going to be on Facebook Live. Jacob, Kramer, and Nolan Brooks will be in that one. I know you guys have been going hard at it, preparing for that. And just kind of what are some of the things that you guys are looking forward to or looking at tomorrow?
One of the big things is, like Justin said, Missouri Southern's been struggling. You look at what happened last year. It's almost like a cliche, but you can't overlook anybody. Yeah, that's when bad things start to happen. And Missouri Southern, I think they're going to try some things this weekend. Joe Andrews, our producer on this show from last year, found something where it looks like Missouri Southern might be running some dual quarterback stuff, just trying some different things to get the offense moving. And one of the big things for Missouri Southern is their difference between yards gained they've had on offense and yards they've given up on defense. I think about 300 yards difference. They're almost giving up 550 yards per game on defense while only getting about 250. So they're going to try some stuff. They're going to throw everything they have at Northwest to try to make this a football game. It'll be in like you guys said, it'll be important for Northwest to make a statement and end this one early. And
this is a Missouri Southern team that was, Kramer, that was blanked in their opener against Nebraska Kearney, and then they lost 51-13 to Lindenwood, so they haven't been able to score a lot of points so far. Kramer?
And it also seems like with their defense, they give up a lot of points. So that right there wants me to believe that possibly some players from Northwest are going to be playing this week that usually don't play, and what a great day to do it with Family Weekend and all the stuff going on. It's just perfect for, hey, I may be a third string. I might be able to play, possibly. It's going to be a great time for all Bearcats the entire day.
And statistically, Missouri Southern right now through 2 games has the worst running defense in Division II. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of keep the ground attack going. I wouldn't be surprised if Braden Wright doesn't throw more than 10 or 12 passes on Saturday. And they kind of try to ground it and pound it with Strayhorn and Caldwell. And I expect to see Wright make some plays with his legs as well. But you want to attack the weaknesses of the defense, and at least looks like early on in the season that is the biggest weakness for Missouri Southern is their ability to stop the run. So I think they're going to go at it heavy and often on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I can see Wright honestly possibly getting could get 200 yards rushing possibly if he wants to keep that throwing down low. The throwing receptions or completions low. So, yeah, it's I feel like another run-heavy game.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting. Again, that is a 1:30 start time tomorrow. You can hear that game on KZLX with myself, Ryan Elliott, who is not with us today, and Kramer Sansone. And also tune in to the pregame show at noon tomorrow on KZLX and KNWT. Justin, anything that you're kind of looking at tomorrow that we haven't touched on?
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how they're – Kramer said the run games, how they're going to do that, because Braden's been averaging almost 100 yards a game rushing against pretty decent defenses on the ground, and to see what he's going to be able to do against this kind of soft rushing defense that Southern does have. But also if they're able to shore up that back end. Like I said, they've had a few big plays they've given up against Washburn and also against Missouri Western the first game. But if they're able to shore that up this week and really get that pound down the run defense that they already have, if they can shore up that back end, they'll be able to possibly see what we saw last year with that defense and how dominant it was.
Yeah, and last year when these two teams played at Bearcat Stadium, I believe it was Family Weekend that year. Last year, too, Northwest picked up a 63-0 win. I remember Zach Martin had a really good game. Northwest had 651 yards of offense. That is a lot of offense, and they've kind of been in control of this series. They've won 23 in a row. They're looking to make it 24 in a row. They lead the all-time series 25-4. And in the last 5 home games against Missouri Southern, they have won the contest by an average margin of 44 points. So they've kind of been in control here. The ideal scenario, I think, for Northwest this early in the season when you've got some big games later on is get a comfortable lead, and then at halftime, if you get the opportunity to play some of these younger guys and rest some of your starters, why not? I mean, we've seen already this year, we've seen a guy like Ben Altoff kind of battle some injuries, Andy Hessler as well. Maybe give those guys a chance to recover a little bit, and Braden Wright as well. I mean, not that he's had any health problems. The last thing you want is your quarterback to go down in a meaningless play. So this could be a situation where maybe the starters only play a half or so. I mean, it just kind of all depends on how the game plays out.
Yeah, another thing to look at there is they're also going for their 100th win this decade. So from 2010 on, they're looking for their 100th win as a program, which would be the most of any Division II program. And I think that put them around like an 89 win percentage for the decade, which is just incredible to think of.
And how many of those wins are by less than one possession or less?
I'd have to look it up.
There can't be very many.
Not very many, no.
There can't be double digits.
No. I can't imagine it's more than like five or six
would be my guess. So, yeah, it just kind of shows the dominance this program's had. And I think it's going to be a chance to have a lot of people shine. Like Kramer said, it's family weekend. A lot of people's families are going to be in town. We saw Zach Martin ball out last year and go beast mode with 6 touchdowns. Maybe someone does that tomorrow. I don't know who. I kind of think there are maybe some candidates that could do it. I know you guys have been doing some prep for the tailgate show. Is there any player that you particularly at the moment are looking at tomorrow?
Really, with the way this offense looks, I think it's going to be spread around on Saturday. I don't think there's anyone that's going to explode individually for, say that 5 touchdowns. I think, Strayhorn might get a couple, Caldwell might get a couple, Wright will get a couple. You'll probably have one through the air. So I think it's going to be a very even offensive attack, and everyone's going to get involved. And like you said, if Northwest comes out, punches Southern in the mouth, and then the starters only play a half, then you've got some guys that they're going to be able to roll in there and do some stuff in the second half. So I don't think you're going to have one guy just explode, because I think they'll constantly be rotating guys in and giving guys opportunities to work on offense.
And I think one thing I'm also looking forward to is if they get up to that big lead and some of the younger guys get to play, looking to see LaTroy Harper.
Yes.
And see how he looks, getting out more experience than he's had the past few games. He's played some snaps, but if he's able to come in and be in a consistent, role on the offense in the second half, looking forward to see how he plays. And, as big of the hype was with them getting him and recruiting, and just looking forward to see what kind of show he can put on, because we know his athleticism is through the roof. But seeing how his route running is and how he's developing so far this season would be a great opportunity to look for.
And getting some more in-game snaps for him, that would be big for the offense moving forward, because then you can maybe throw him in there a little bit more as the season progresses and give Wright another option.
What I'm looking forward to for tomorrow is actually the defense side with Anthony Lane and Austin Eskew. New quarterback possibly, and they might be switching around a little bit with Missouri Southern. So who knows how the quarterback coming in is affected by Anthony Lane or Eskew. Some forced fumbles, possibly an interception. Who knows? I feel the defense is going to have a great time this week.
Yeah, I think the defense has the opportunity to make a lot of plays. I have one guy that I've been kind of mildly impressed with in reserve efforts, been Jackson Barnes. He's been able to make some plays. He came in last week when Hessler was injured. He came in a couple weeks ago when Altoff went down, and I think he's going to get a chance to make some plays. You always got to expect a big game from Austin Eskew, and that front four right now is looking pretty solidified with Eskew and Roberts and Phillips up there. So I want to see if they can kind of create some mayhem as well. One other thing I'm going to be looking at tomorrow is, as always, the speed of Sean Bain Jr. Last year I believe he had at least one big play over the top of that secondary of Missouri Southern. And coming into tomorrow, he's got 25 career touchdowns, the Bearcat. If he gets into the end zone for the 26th time tomorrow, he will move up in the all-time charts and tie Steve Hansley for 5th all-time with 26 career touchdowns. got a little bit of ways to go to get to fourth with Tyler Shaw at 32. It's possible. And then Tony Miles at 37, Jamaica Rector at 38, and Jake Soy, the all-time leading touchdown receiver for the Bearcats at 45. So I think he's got a chance to crack that top 5. But I think they have an opportunity with Sean Bain to kind of display that speed, and maybe he can beat him over the top once or twice.
Yeah, Sean Bain last year had 7 receptions for 101 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Pretty good day.
He could possibly do that again.
Yeah, against a Missouri Southern defense that's been kind of reeling lately. I mean, they've averaged giving up 48 points a game through 2 games. I think the opportunity is there to put up a lot of points, but you got to play the game. I think it's important for them not to overlook this Missouri Southern team either. I mean, obviously you never want to overlook any team, but you definitely don't want to overlook somebody coming in town on family weekend, because the last thing you want to do is go out there and lay an egg on family weekend.
And one other thing that they've got to be careful with, is the one bright spot for Missouri Southern has been their rushing attack up to this point. They've got 344 yards total on the ground. That makes up well over 50% of their offense for the season. So if Northwest is able to shut that down, which they should be able to with who they've got up front, but that's been the one bright spot for Southern, and that's where Southern will probably try to start the game to get a flow and maybe get off some 4 or 5 yard runs. And the first couple weeks, we've seen that be a little bit of an issue for Northwest. Early against Western could get that first game. They could get those 3-4 yard runs, and those don't mean a whole lot. But when you add those up, those equal first downs. So that might be Southern's attack going into this game, and if Northwest can shut that down, that'd be big for Northwest.
Southern's been led by, so far you mentioned the rushing attack by Caleb Beatty. He's a sophomore from Foxworth, Mississippi. 37 rushes, 216 yards, pretty good average, but it's yet to find the end zone. Also, they have a running back on the roster, kind of interesting, by the name of Dalton James, also plays linebacker. Missouri Southern has a couple of guys that are kind of those two-way players, and you don't see that a lot outside of high school football, so kind of a little interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because, like you said, you don't see that a lot outside of high school, but it just goes to show that they do have some athleticism there. I mean, you got a running back who can play linebacker, so you know he's going to be physical. He's going to come and hit you. He's not going to be afraid to hit you. So it'll be interesting to see with what they do with both Hessler and Althoff coming off of injuries. Maybe they decide, just sit them this week and give them another week of rest. Interested to see what the other linebackers there step up with.
Yeah, that'll be really, really interesting to see. And the linebacking core, it hasn't really missed much of a beat from the last couple of years, and I expect them to come out ready to play on Saturday, and can't think of a better way to honor Coach Cheertsma and Coach Boswick and all the family members and stuff that'll be at Maryville tomorrow than the Bearcats being able to bring home a win, which obviously we hope they can do. And why don't we wrap up this football segment real quick? We'll just kind of go around the table, and we'll kind of just make our score predictions for Saturday. I will abstain since I'm calling the game on X106, but we'll just kind of start with Jacob.
I have to abstain too.
And Kramer has to abstain too. So Jacob, Justin.
Don't I do as well? I'm on the tailgate show.
You're doing the tailgate show. You're good.
Okay. Well, since Trevor wants some scores out there, I'll go somewhere around 42-10. I don't think it'll be near as bad as last year, but it'll still open up pretty early.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be scoreless like last year because I think Southern might get a playoff early where they get someone over the top. But I'm probably going to say it's probably going to be around 52, somewhere around there, 52-7, something like that.
All right, so it looks like you guys are both pretty confident with the Bearcats, and I think that's probably kind of the assessment around the nation right now, as Missouri Southern certainly not where they'd like their program to be, and the Bearcats have been kind of rolling early on, but got to play the game. So we'll see. We're going to take a real quick break. When we get back, we're going to kind of look at some of the other Bearcat sports going on. And now we're going to turn our attention to the hardwood as the volleyball season, it's underway, but the first home game of the season in the MIAA opener is tonight at Bearcat Arena, as the women's volleyball team will be in action against a Lindenwood team. It's also off to a good start. Right now, Northwest Missouri in non-conference play, they've been 8-3 overall. They will take on Lindenwood tonight at 6 o'clock, who is 8-2 so far in the season. Jacob Blair and Sam Steinmeier will be on the call on X106. Action will begin at 6. You can catch the pregame right around 5:50 or so, right?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure. So, let's just kind of talk a little bit volleyball. Jacob, I know you've been going at it, getting ready for this game, and you've been looking at some stats, maybe some tendencies. Just kind of what's your thoughts right now?
The biggest thing is you've been playing non-conference teams. You've been running with these, weekend tournaments to start the season, and now you start MIAA play where you're going to get, one game a day up against the opponent you're used to. And Lindenwood's a good team. They've started off the season strong, but Northwest, they've also started the season well. So I think this is going to be a very even matchup, and we're going to look for a good volleyball game tonight.
Yeah, and this is a Northwest team that they had some pieces returning from last year. Also, they did lose a couple pieces, but they do return Maddie Bruder, who's been playing really well. Some faces that have been playing better and have got more playing time than we're used to seeing. Jordan Musselman, Sophia Schleppenbach stepped up, but it's going to be really interesting. The home opener tonight against Lindenwood. They will be in action tomorrow as well against Central Missouri. That'll be a 6:30 start. We will also have the call of that one. And then on Tuesday night against Missouri Western here, we'll have the call of that one. So volleyball Friday, Saturday, and Tuesday. It's a lot of volleyball.
And also over the past weekend, Coach Worth got her 100th career win as a coach, which is a very good accomplishment. I know she wants to win them all. I mean, she's at a 100 right now. So let's see how many more she can win under the coaching experience she has.
Well, and she's got an opportunity to win a lot more just this season.
Yes,
I mean, and the
definitely.
way the team's playing, it has been non-conference play, so you can take it as that is. But they've been playing really well. The only three matches they've dropped were at the Rockhurst Classic. They dropped to Colorado Mesa, Sioux Falls, and Rockhurst, all in a span of 2 days. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, they've gone 3-0, and they have a chance to go 6-0 by the end of next Tuesday. And I expect this volleyball team to make a bigger step forward from last year. And they had a pretty solid season last year too. And you can kind of see the pieces going. They were 17-15, so right above that 500. They ended up drawing Central Missouri in the MIAA tournament, who's always a really tough team in volleyball. But I think this is a team that could maybe turn some heads this year.
Yeah, I think Lindenwood will be a good test to see where they stand within the conference right now. I know the MIAA is extremely, stacked volleyball-wise. They've got a couple teams that are undefeated and then quite a few teams that are above 500. But I think Lindenwood is right around the level that would be a good test to open up the season with the conference. And then really, really good experience for them heading into the UCM game, where UCM, it's looking like they might be another juggernaut this year with the schedule they've played. They've played, I think, 7 or 8 top 25 teams so far this year. And, I mean, I know they beat the number 3 team in the country, so they've been battle-tested already, and it'll be a good test for Northwest to be able to look at how they do at Lindenwood.
A lot of MIAA volleyball action tonight. Southwest Baptist is at Central Oklahoma. Nebraska Kearney is at Emporia State. Central Missouri is at Missouri Western. Missouri Southern is at Pitt State. As I said, Northwest hosts Lindenwood tonight in a game you can hear on X106 with Jacob Blair and Sam Steinmeier at 6 p.m. And Fort Hays is at Washburn. This is the beginning of conference play for all of these teams, but a lot of them had a solid start to their non-conference play. Nebraska Kearney and Washburn, they're both 12-0 to start the season. Central Oklahoma's 12-2, Pitt State's 11-2, Central Missouri 9-2, Lindenwood 8-2, Northwest Missouri 8-3, Missouri Western is 7-4, Fort Hays State is 6-6, Emporia State is 5-7, Southwest Baptist is 4-9, and Missouri Southern is 0-9. So a matchup tonight between Lindenwood and Northwest that both teams have got 8 wins on the season, and they've been playing really well. And I think it's going to be a fun one for you to call tonight, Jacob.
Yeah, and one thing that Amy Worth has talked about with this team this year is that 5th set. That's where they've struggled a little bit in a couple of the games they've lost. They got to the 5th set and didn't play as well in the 5th set. So this is another one tonight that could go to that 5th set. And with the MIAA, when you've got 75% of the teams 500 or above before you even start conference play, this is an extremely strong volleyball conference. Every game you're going to have to show up, and it's going to be a battle. And that, we kind of talk about that a lot, but the MIAA is really strong in almost every single sport. So they're going to have to be ready to play every game, but they've got a team this year that can come out and compete with everyone in this conference this year.
And you mentioned getting that 5th set. All 8 of Northwest Missouri State's wins this year have been 3-set sweeps. So, but their 3 losses have been in 5, 4, and 5. So, I mean, they've shown some resiliency. They've just kind of came out on the short end a couple of times. So definitely want to keep an eye on that tonight as Lindenwood's in town to take on Northwest Missouri State for the home volleyball opener. Like I said, you can hear that game on X106 with Jacob Blair and Sam Steinmeier. That pretty much, I think, wraps it up, unless you got anything else you want to add, Justin or Kramer?
Bearcat Soccer takes on UCM and Missouri Western this weekend. The Bearcats play UCM tonight to, as I say this correctly, they have a 30-game winning streak. I mean, this is a non-conference game, these two games are, so I mean, it's not going to affect their conference record, but could be a good game for the Bearcats if they could snap the UCM streak. So, yes, last year Bearcats were 0-2 against UCM, and same with the Missouri Westerns. But they are 1-2 this year, so they're in the right direction.
And they take on Missouri Western on Sunday.
Yes,
so,
Sunday, and that is at
1 p.m.
Bearcat Pitch here in Maryville.
That is a 1 p.m. kickoff there. So soccer, they've got a couple of games this weekend as well. So a lot going on. Pair of soccer games, 2 volleyball games, and family weekend. It's going to be a crazy Saturday tomorrow between football and then you throw in the volleyball game as well. That, I mean, basically as soon as the game ends, the football game, it's right over to Bearcat Arena and get ready for some volleyball. So
it's an exciting week for Northwest Athletics and
week.
with the family weekend coming around.
Yeah, it's always a busy week, but hey, we enjoy it.
I mean, family weekend did start today.
Technically it did, yeah.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot.
Yeah, Maryville's popping right now. Justin, thank you for your time, and I'm sure I'll catch up with you tomorrow, and maybe we can have you back on the show next Friday.
That sounds good. Sounds like good to me.
All right. Thank you, Justin. That is Northwest Missourian sports editor Justin Quick joining us on the Weekend Sports Kickoff. We're going to take a real quick break. When we get back, our college football picks actually weren't that bad last week, guys. So we're going to see if we can kind of piggyback on that momentum as we'll make our college football picks and look back on Week 2 and Week 3 of the college football world. You're listening to the Weekend Sports Kickoff on KNWT Channel 8 and X106. It's time now that we take a look at our college football picks from last week. And, guys, we did a lot better last week than we did the week before.
Yeah, I know I did.
You did 3 times better last week.
That's
really good.
You know what's sad about that is he did 3 times better, and he still was the worst of all of us.
3-2, yeah.
Hey, it's gradual improvement by
me. In your defense, last week there weren't a lot of the games. It was kind of tough to pick differently, and you were trying to be different to get that edge. So I give you props for that. It didn't work out, but I do give you props for that. It's a quick look at those standings. Ryan Elliott, who is not with us today, he went 5-0 on the week. He is now 8-2 in his CFB pick'ems. He's doing pretty darn good.
And not to mention, I believe he's 2-0 with his upset picks as well.
He is. Jacob also went 5-0. Caleb went 5-0. I went 4-1, but the one loss I had was I picked Iowa State to beat Iowa, and Iowa won, so it's technically a win. And then Kramer went 3-2, so he's 4-6.
I also got my upset pick correct, so that I was happy about that. That's a win in my book for the entire week.
I did not. That was
I don't think Jacob's going to get an upset pick.
What did you pick again?
I picked Pitt to upset Penn State. That really went well.
That's yeah.
I don't think Jacob's going to get an upset pick right all year. He hasn't yet, so I believe I'm 1-1. I think you're 1-1. Ryan is 2-0, and Caleb and Jacob are both 0-2 in their upset picks.
You know how I picked Pac-12 to win the Pac-12 championship?
You picked Arizona State?
Yeah, Arizona State. They're ranked now.
And they looked pretty good last week against Michigan State.
Exactly. So I like that pick still.
Right now, Herm Edwards isn't looking too bad. Who knows what it'll look like in a couple weeks. Let's go ahead and we'll roll into our college football pick'ems. 5 games and an upset as we do each and every week here on the Weekend Sports Kickoff. We will start with number 12 LSU at number 7 Auburn. That game is a 2:30 kickoff on CBS. Auburn right now, I believe last time I saw it was a 9-point favorite in that one.
It's up to 10.5.
Is up 10.5.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of points. LSU looked really good against Miami a couple weeks ago, but we've seen this with LSU in the past where they play a really good game and they follow it up by laying an egg. Go ahead.
But they're also going to play Auburn at home, and this is
it's at Auburn.
Yeah, it's at Auburn.
So
this is a good rival game too.
Jordan-Hare's a tough.
I'm surprised this isn't a prime time.
Well,
slot.
CBS gets the rights to the SEC game, so
True.
they get the first choice. So yeah, that game's 2:30 on CBS. I'm going with Auburn. I think LSU can keep it close. Their quarterback, Joe Burrows, has played much better than any LSU quarterback has since Jamarcus Russell. That's sad when Jamarcus Russell was the best quarterback they've had.
He was a great
college
quarterback.
He was a good college quarterback.
Yeah, he was.
But I'm going with Auburn. I think they're able to win it by – I think they could cover. I really do. I think I actually have them covering, but I think LSU can make it a game for a while. So I think the Tigers, ranked number 7, they move to 3-0 in the season. Ryan Elliott, too, is not with us today. He will be back next week.
He is alive.
He's doing well. He had something come up that he had to attend to, but he'll be back with us tomorrow for the Bearcat football broadcast and then as well on the Weekend Sports Kickoff next week. He's going with LSU. He feels like they can go into Jordan-Hare and win, and he's taking the Tigers. And it looks like Jacob is also taking Auburn. You taking Auburn?
Taking Auburn?
Yeah. Well, Caleb has it as Auburn. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we've talked about Auburn Stadium. That's one of the best home field advantages is in college football. It's down there with the SEC. They've played really well. LSU has looked good. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Auburn just is going to be a little bit too much for LSU and gets the win.
I'm going with Auburn as well. I don't see them losing at home. I really don't. And I mean LSU, like you mentioned, they start off hot, but then they always putter out towards almost midseason. I mean, it's not midseason yet. It's week 3 in college football.
Yeah, it'll be week 3 this week.
So I mean, we'll see how they are. They're both 2-0 coming in on today. So,
and one thing with LSU now being up to 12th ranked is this already is going to have college football playoff impacts.
Yes.
It is the loser of this game it's going to be difficult for them to have an opportunity to make that Final Four teams.
Well, and definitely with the rest of the SEC schedule, both these teams still play Alabama. They both have still played Georgia. So you're already spotting yourself a loss early on. But it also means if you're, say, LSU and you lose, you have a lot of time to make that up if you win out. So that'll be interesting. So Jacob and I are taking Auburn. Kramer and Caleb are taking Auburn. And Ryan is taking LSU.
Are you saying that on purpose?
Yeah, well, that's how it is on the graphic.
Okay.
It's Auburn. So
okay. I was wondering what you were doing.
I'm assuming he meant to spell Auburn, and I'm just giving Caleb a little bit of a hard time. I don't envy his job whatsoever. But we're all taking everyone's taking a Tiger because it's the LSU Tigers, the Auburn Tigers. But all of us but Ryan are taking the Auburn Tigers, and he's taking LSU.
I feel like LSU now, since Ryan's picking it,
this will be the one that he gets one on us.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's true. I need to get some back, so I hope.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a couple back. Let's move on now. This is a matchup I'm maybe the most excited for. Number 17, Boise State at number 24, Oklahoma State. That game will be at 2:30 on ESPN. If you like points, then I strongly suggest you tune into this one. And I don't like points. I love points. I'm going with Boise State. Right now, Oklahoma State's the favorite. I think when I saw earlier, it was a 3-point line.
2 now.
2? Okay, the lines move so close to game time. I'm going with the Broncos. I think they've shown before they can go into these Power 5 schools and pick up wins. This is a Boise State team that I think has a chance to be that group of 5 New Year's bowl game participant if it's not Central Florida. So give me the Broncos to upset Oklahoma State. Even though they're a higher-ranked team, they're the underdog. In Stillwater, I'm taking the Broncos. Jacob?
Speaking of Boise State, this would be a very important game for them to win if they want to be that group of 5 school that jumps in with the Power 5 schools. But I don't think they get it done this week, and I think Oklahoma State squeaks one out and gets the win.
I'm going with Boise State. They are the underdog supposed to be in this game, and if you look at the matchup stats wise, I mean it's really not close. I mean there's a 50-point difference on total yards between Oklahoma State to the Broncos, and then it's also a 50-yard difference between yards allowed as the Oklahoma State's defense is a little bit better, but I still want to go with Boise State Broncos.
It's also worth noting that Ryan is taking Boise State as well, and Caleb is taking Oklahoma State. So myself, Ryan, and Kramer all feel like Boise State's going to go in and get it done. Jacob and Caleb, they say the Cowboys are going to get it done. Move on to our next one. Number 4, Ohio State at number 15, TCU. This game will be played in Dallas. It is a 7 o'clock kickoff on ABC. What's the spread on that, Jacob?
Hold on. I believe it's somewhere around 13.
Last I saw, I think it was 13. I'm taking Ohio State in this one. I'm not sold on TCU this year. And Ohio State's offense has shown so far they can score a lot of points, and they're going to try to do so, and I think they cover as well, and I don't think this one's really that close. So it's a game day game, even though they're going to be on campus at TCU, but the game isn't at TCU. So it's not the same atmosphere, I guess, even though it's not that far from TCU to Cowboys Stadium. But give me Ohio State, and I think it's pretty comfortably too. So, Jacob?
The one thing about Ohio State is they've played Oregon State and Rutgers so far this season, so I would expect them to put up.
Not exactly powerhouses.
Yeah. So
more on Rutgers
again,
a little bit.
Like we talked with Boise State and Oklahoma State, if you like points, there's going to be a lot of points in this game. And I'm still waiting for all of the issues that Ohio State had over the offseason to come up in a game. And I think this is the game that happens. I think you see some issues with them actually playing a strong Power 5 school. I think TCU gets the upset and ends up winning this one.
Or you could just say that you wanted to steal a pick on us, and this is the best opportunity.
That too.
Okay. Kramer?
It pains me saying
I was going to
this.
say, hold on. Is Kramer, our beloved Michigan fan, siding with the Buckeyes?
For points' sake, yes, I'm siding with the Buckeyes. Dwayne Haskins. He looks really good. He's really
good.
I'm kind of nervous when Ohio State does play Michigan later on this year. But oh man, I feel like he's gonna run wild. He's gonna throw wild the entire game. It's what a Buckeye quarterback does. He either throws it or runs it and kills the other opponent. So
yeah, it tends to be what happens. Ryan is taking Ohio State, as is Caleb. So Jacob, like I said, trying to steal a point from us. He is taking the Horned Frogs in Dallas. Let's move on to the next pick of our pick'em. Number 22, USC at Texas. That game is a 7 p.m. kickoff on Fox. This one doesn't quite have the mystique to it that the Rose Bowl had when they played many years ago. I think these programs they're both maybe two of the more overrated programs in college football. They failed to live to expectations over the last couple of years. Both teams come in with a loss on their belt. I don't trust Texas. I know it's at Darrell K. Royal Stadium, so that should mean something. But I don't really trust USC either. But they won last year, and I think they're going to be able to get the best of Texas as well. I think Tom Herman's seat gets really hot after this one. If they start the season 1-2, I think you start kind of seeing the Crows circle in Austin, and this could be his last year, and Texas could be working for their fourth coach in 6 years. But taking the Trojans this week, Jacob.
Yeah, I can't trust the Longhorns either. They obviously lost to Maryland their first game of the season and struggled with Tulsa last week, only winning by 7. So I'm taking USC with this one. Texas does have our favored in this one, but I still think USC is of two teams, like Trevor said, that it's difficult to trust either one. I think USC you can trust a little bit more. They've been solidly a little bit better over the last few years than Texas, so I'm going with USC.
Kramer?
The Longhorns' defense is bad.
And that was supposed to be their strength.
Yeah, exactly. And USC's defense is bad. But I'm going with USC on this.
USC's run defense is terrible.
Yes. This is just a bad defensive game.
Yeah.
Obviously,
a lot of points.
They're going to be. I hope there's a lot of points. That's what you want to watch in football, a lot of points. But I'm more of a defense guy. I don't know. It's USC. There's nothing else I can say about this. That's positive.
This is one that is just kind of on here because of the names and the programs. This isn't the matchup that I think they thought it would be when they scheduled it 27 years back or however long ago they scheduled it.
I mean, if Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart,
Vince Young and Jamal Charles come out there again and just...
I mean, they might be there for the game. I mean, that would be cool to see.
Yeah, but even now, they're kind of old and slow, and Jamal Charles has bad knees, so I don't know that he would...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that they would be very productive.
That's true.
So, yeah, everyone's going USC across the board. Ryan and Caleb both taking the Trojans as well. Our final of our 5-game pick'em, this is not a typo. We are actually picking this one, and it is a football game in Lawrence, Kansas. Kind of. It might be a sad football game, but it's a football game. Rutgers at Kansas. This game is at 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. Probably be more people if I was playing at 11 p.m. It'll be 11 a.m. I could not find where it was on TV, but our graphic shows that it's on Fox Sports Kansas City.
I hope they're in.
Yeah, you would think, but I mean, it's Kansas football. The Jayhawks looking to win 2 in a row for the first time since 2011. That year they defeated Northern Illinois and McNeese State, 2 powerhouses, not really, to start the season 2-0. Now, how did they respond? They lost 10 in a row and finished the year 2-10, and Turner Gill got fired. They haven't won 2 in a row since then. I'm going to say they don't win 2 in a row this week. Rutgers looking for the win. I don't trust Kansas. I don't trust Rutgers either at all. This is just a bad matchup, and I thought we've never picked a Kansas game on here. I have executive power. Why don't we pick Rutgers, Kansas? It's a toss-up game, too, is a thing. I mean, both teams are so terrible, and one of them's going to win because there are no ties in college football. This is a game where there probably should be a tie. Maybe more on that later. But anyways, I'm taking Rutgers.
The crazy thing about this is one of these two teams is going to leave this game with a winning record.
Isn't Kansas favored too? Are they like a 3-point favorite?
Favored in a football game.
When was the last
it's
time?
A 2-point favorite now.
When was the last time Kansas was favored in a game? I'll have to look that up while Jacob breaks down why he thinks Kansas is going to win 2 in a row.
So, yeah, I'm picking Kansas. I think that Kansas ended up with a solid win last weekend against Central Michigan, which for Kansas that's a good win for Kansas. Rutgers
37-0. No, wait, no,
31-7.
Why did I say 37-0?
Rutgers was destroyed by Ohio State. So I think that Kansas, they have an opportunity to do something they haven't done in a long time. They have an opportunity to start the season with a winning record, and I think Kansas gets it done.
And actually, the last time Kansas was favored to win a game, 2 weeks ago against Nicholls State, but they lost. The real question is, when's the last time they were favored to beat an FBS school? Haven't been able to find that.
We forget that this is a Power 5 matchup.
Yeah, this is a Big 12, Big 10 matchup. It's the bottom of the Big 12 and the bottom of the Big 10. But it's a Big 12, Big 10 matchup, folks. And you will want to tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. If you love Follies, this is a game for you. Because I think it could be an interesting game because both teams are so bad. But, I'm taking Rutgers. Jacob's taking Kansas. Ryan is taking Kansas. Caleb's taking Rutgers. And Mr. Sansone, who are you taking?
I'm taking Rutgers. Right now the yards allowed are a bit excessive right now because they just played Ohio State. So it's going to be a lot of yards when you play them. But they did beat Texas State Bobcats, I'm pretty sure it was, week 1. So I'm picking Rutgers on this because they've already played 2 teams that have been, one, it's Texas State. The other one is Ohio State. They have that feel of a top-tier football team playing them, so they know how to adjust just in case something like that happens. And they got KU this week. I don't see Rutgers losing to KU.
So we got quite the mix-up here this week. 3 for Rutgers, 2 for Kansas. And those are our 5 games that we're picking. Now let's just kind of roll through our upset real quick.
Just 1 second. Last week, KU played a really bad
Central Michigan team.
Yes, really bad Central Michigan team.
They still won, though.
They played a really bad Central Michigan team.
Yeah, so our upset picks last week, Kramer and I both picked Arizona State to upset Michigan State. We were right. Ryan picked Kentucky to upset Florida. He was right. Jacob and Caleb, one of them must have copied off the other, and they picked Pittsburgh to beat Penn State.
That didn't go well.
Yeah, they were wrong. They were pretty wrong. So, again, we'll keep our upset picks rolling. The only rule is it must be a 5-point dog or more, and it cannot be one of the 5 games we were picking. I will start first. I'm going with Iowa State over Oklahoma. Last year, Oklahoma came into Ames. They were a 31-point favorite, and Iowa State took it to them. Iowa State has maybe, now that we know Texas' defense is bad, Iowa State might have the best defense in the Big 12, which isn't saying much, but still it's a solid defense. David Montgomery didn't have a great game last week against a really good Iowa front 4. I think he's going to have a little bit better game. Oklahoma's going to want to air it out. Iowa State's going to want to score some points as well, and there's a lot of hype around this program, and I think this year, and I think Iowa State's able to get it done. Plus, a good friend of mine is making his play-by-play debut calling that game for the student station, so I'm hoping he gets a great game and Iowa State wins. So, picking the Cyclones to upset Oklahoma. Jacob?
I've got Utah upsetting Washington. At this point is a 5-point. Utah's a 5-point underdog. So as I do not have an upset pick, I'm going with the maximizing the ability of the rules in terms of who's an underdog. But Utah, they've looked good so far. Rankings-wise, they were the team that received the most votes that didn't end up ranked. So essentially, they're 26th right now. They're at home, so I like Utah to knock off Washington.
Utah's in the Pac-12, correct?
Yes.
They're actually favored to possibly win out and still win the Pac-12, which is very surprising to me.
Who's your pick?
I went far out on this one.
Yeah, your upset pick, I will say, it does meet the criteria. But you...
I went a little far out. I have New Mexico State Aggies over the New Mexico Lobos.
Why?
Why? Because honestly, it met the criteria.
It did.
And New Mexico State hasn't won a game yet this year, and they're at home. And I mean,
it's a rivalry game too.
It is a rivalry game, and the only thing that I see that's really bad on New Mexico State, they have total yards they have this season is 228, compared to 445 in Mexico Lobos, which is not good at all. I mean, it's decent.
I mean, and it was an 11-point spread or 9.5. It was somewhere between 8 and 12. I can't remember what it was.
All right, now the way it shows, it's supposed to be on the left hand side of the screen. It's not popping up. So I don't know. I just know that New Mexico Lobos is supposed to win this game. So yeah, let's go Aggies on this. The different Aggies. Okay.
Yeah, not Texas A&M or Utah State because they're obviously not playing in that game.
New Mexico State.
Ryan is taking Troy to upset Nebraska. That's a sneaky one because this Troy offense can score a lot of points. Nebraska is without their starting quarterback, Adrian Martinez, this week, who went down with a knee injury. It sounds like a transfer by the name of A.J. Bunch will get the start for them. So he's taking the Trojans to go into Lincoln and pull off the upset. And Caleb is taking Toledo to upset Miami. That's a sneaky good pick. So there we go. There's our upset picks for this week. I'm taking Iowa State. Jacob's taking Utah. Kramer's taking New Mexico State. That is actually an upset, ladies and gentlemen. And Caleb is taking the Toledo Rockets. Thank you for watching the Weekend Sports Kickoff. Click here to view other videos from KNWT Channel 8.